On April 4th, 1991, I left to go to the Good Guys store.
Out of my peripheral vision, I see these guys, they start putting ski masks on.
Okay, everybody, we come here to die.
The one gunman said, well, let's just shoot someone and throw them out and let them know we mean business.
Oh, please don't! Sit down! Hurry up! Open it up!
People only take so much before they start to kind of snap.
We have to die out.
They talked for almost 9 hours, but the California hostage drama finally ended with gunfire on live television.
The Good Guys electronics store hostage rescue is the largest hostage rescue in the history of the United States.
At any moment, you could lose control of this whole thing, and we could have just an astronomical catastrophe. It is the largest number of people ever taken hostage in an incident in civilian life in this country.
Good morning, Sacramento. It's April 4th, 1991. The high today will be 77 degrees and sunny.
It was a typical, beautiful spring day in California. Headed off to work, really with no thoughts that it was anything other than just a normal, ordinary day.
Everything here is 10% off. This right here, model 2330, absolutely incredible product.
I was 27 years old. I sold electronics for the Good Guys Audio, an electronics store, California mostly. It was regional. We sold everything you can think of, TVs, home audio, personal stereos. If it was a gadget that beeped or made some sort of electronic sound, we sold it. This particular Good Guys store was in the south part of Sacramento. A lot of gang activity, certainly a lot of crime, the occasional carjacking, definitely a rougher part of town. But you know, we were young and we were California, so we were invulnerable. At that point, you never think anything like that's going to happen to you. It's unthinkable, it's inconceivable.
It was on a Thursday, and I remember it was a really, really beautiful day. And I had promised my uncle that I was going to pick him up and we were going to spend the day together. So my cousin and I decided that, you know, we're going to go get him. We're going to go out to eat. We're going to go shopping. We're just going to spend like a really good quality family day together. So we picked him up and we were headed down the road, and he says, wait, let's stop at the Good Guys store really quick. I want to go do some shopping there first. So we were like, oh, okay, no problem.
That was my first official day at that store. While I'm walking into the store manager's walking out. He says to me, hey, Al, welcome aboard. And I got my box with me, and I'm like, thanks a lot. I was working as a video salesman, and I originally worked for another store which was much further from my home before that for a year. So I was thinking, oh yeah, this is going to be a welcome change.
It's past my lunch.
I know, it's that Adam. This is crazy for a weekday. Can you wait till it dies down a little?
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead, please.
It was kind of an unusual Thursday to some degree, because normally Good Guys ran an ad on the weekend. They ran it on Friday for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but they tried something different this particular week and ran one on Thursday. That brought a lot more shoppers. The place was really a lot busier than it normally would be on a Thursday. I was handling customers right and left on a surprisingly busy day.
I was at the computer terminal, which was located at the end of an aisle, store aisle, checking the computer and see if there's any updated products or anything. Then right behind me was a friend of mine named John Fritz. He had just come on shift as well, so we were back to back. But I was facing the front door. out of my peripheral vision, I see these guys, they start putting ski masks on. I'm like, okay, well, this isn't a good sign.
That was actually when all of a sudden just kind of everything stopped. Guy ran past us with a mask on. He puts the gun up above his head and says, "Everybody down."
Everybody get down!
Coming up.
People who are actually walking in the store at that time, they don't know what's about to hit them.
My heart was just pumping. I could hear it.
Hurry up! Sit down!
I guess this isn't going to be a robbery.
On April 4th, 1991, I had the day off work and I was going to go to the electronics store to try and find a camera case for a camera I had gotten at Christmas time. So I left to go to the Good Guys store. When I pulled up into the parking lot, I noticed that there was another car that drove up very fast, and a guy was talking loud and laughing with other people that were in the car, and I kind of hesitated because it got my attention. I just thought that them being loud and rambunctious, that it was just teenage kids. I really didn't have any idea that anything could possibly happen. It just never entered my mind. People who are actually walking in the store at that time, they don't know what's about to hit them. When I got into the store, I went toward the back where the cash registers were looking for the camera case, and just as I got to that area, I heard a large commotion, and I looked across on the other side of the cash registers, and there was a gunman with a mask on.
They pack an incredible punch, guys. These are some of our top sellers, right?
Everybody get down!
He's got a pistol in his hand. He held the gun straight up in the air over his head and tried to fire it, but it just went click.
If you pull the trigger on a gun and it's on safety, it's not going to go off. It's what safety's for.
He basically got startled and then ran up to the front. But just really seconds later, we hear gunfire.
Boom, 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 bang, bang, bang. One guy stood at the front door with a shotgun, and three gunmen started shooting their guns randomly, blowing up televisions, blowing out glass counters, and randomly shooting whatever they wanted to shoot. And also yelling, "Everybody get to the front of the store." I ducked, and when John saw me duck, he ducked. I just kind of inched my way around the end cap, so when the gunmen were running up and down the aisles, they wouldn't see me duck down in front of the computer terminal.
At that time, I was 5 months pregnant. It was all happening really, really fast. My heart was just pumping. I could hear it. I just immediately dropped to the ground, and my cousin and my uncle, we were like in a pair of three. He gets my hair and he shoves me against the wall. He tells us, "Stay here and don't move."
You you really can't believe what you're saying. It's really difficult for the mind to process just what's going on around you.
Go! Sit down! Hurry up! Open it up!
People were running out of the back door, and a gunman with a mask on said that if they didn't get back in, that he would shoot them. Another lady and I went and hid between large box and the will call window wall. He went on toward the front of the store after he closed the door. So I thought, well, we've got it made because he didn't find us.
I was the only guy really that worked for the good guys that I could see. So my first thought is, well, I guess it's my responsibility to take care of everybody. So I told everybody, okay, let's all head to the front door. And there was a guy there with a shotgun who basically pulled the gun out and cocked it just as we walked up. And anytime you hear a shotgun cock, you stop dead in your tracks. We all stopped. I said, okay, everybody, into the car stereo room, because that was a small room. So I ushered everybody in, said squat down low. If it's a robbery or whatever's going on, we'll just basically wait it out in here.
Everything's gonna be fine. All right, we'll just wait in here until they leave.
I felt responsible for them. There's no real entire reason for me to feel that way. That was just what was going through my head at the moment.
Sit down! Hurry up! Sit down!
The first thing that came into my mind is, this is going to be a robbery. I reached into my pocket, pulled out my wallet, I pulled out a $20 bill. There was a cabinet underneath the computer terminal, so I stuck my wallet under there.
Sit down!
I figure, okay, now when these guys come around and say, give me your money, I give them $20, they're happy.
One of the customers looked at me and said, does this kind of thing happen often here? And of course at this point I'm being both brave and a little cocky. Oh yeah, we had a carjacking the other day. Don't worry about a thing. It'll all be fine. We're all good here.
Everybody out! Out!
One of the gunmen walked by the door, kind of did a double take, stopped, backed up, opened the door up. Then he pointed the gun directly at me and said, everybody out, everybody out right now. At that point, we all got up, filed out of the room, and walked to the front.
Look! Sit down! Hurry up! Sit down! I said sit down!
When we got to the front, there was already a lot of people there, mostly sitting on the floor, all squatted down low, kind of wondering what the heck is going on.
We were kneeling down, and all of a sudden I see a pair of shoes there, and I look up, and here was this masked gunman with a gun on us. Can we go?
Get up. Up.
The other lady and I walked toward the front of the store, and I said, he's going to let us go. And walked up there and saw all of these people sitting down on the floor. And at that point, I realized we weren't going any further.
Hurry up! Hurry up! Move! Sit down! Go! Sit down! Go! Move your feet.
The area that I sat down in was next to two mothers that had 3 children there. And another person was Sean McIntyre, who was an employee of the store. The mother of one of the girls was crying quite a bit, and Sean was trying to tell her to calm down. It'll be okay. You're not hurt.
Move! Sit down! Go! Sit down! Go!
When I was hiding with John, ducked down behind the computer terminals, so I could see the reflection of everything that was going on in front of the store. The leader, he said he wanted to know who was in charge, who had the keys. The manager on duty, because the store manager had just left. He says, well, I am. He says, okay, well, lock the door.
Lock it! Open it up! Hurry up! Look! Sit down!
I look over at John. He looks over at me, and we're like, I guess this isn't going to be a robbery.
Coming up. You, down 911. Go!
He just starts spouting off all these crazy demands.
We want a chopper, a big chopper, take it to Thailand, okay?
One of them said, "We want $1 million."
Why would you pick the Good Guys electronics store and not the bank?
911 emergency. What's your emergency? There's somebody in our store shooting the gun. A gun? A gun. Where is your store? The Good Guys. Okay, hold on.
911 emergency.
We got a guy shooting the gun off.
Hello?
We got a gun shooting. The Good Guys. The Good Guys.
Hurry up. Hurry up, move. Sit down, go. Sit down, go. Move.
The gunmen were yelling, "Everybody to the front of the store! Everybody go to the front of the store!" John and I were hiding, and you're getting kind of cramped up, being ducked down for that long.
It was terribly frightening. You don't know what's going to happen.
Go! Lock it! Open it up! Hurry up! Lock it!
They had the assistant manager lock the door. And, so something was up. We knew that because just no reason to do that if it was a robbery.
There's 2 plate glass doors, real thick glass doors. That was the only way in, the only way out for any customers or anybody. There were no windows. That's why they picked the places, because it was so secure.
When he locks us in those 2 glass thick doors, he's locking it from the bottom. And then when I heard that, then I started to panic. I was almost 5 months pregnant at the time, and I'm thinking, you know what? I'm gonna die in here.
You, down 911. Go! Yes, down 911. We want police.
911?
Hello, sit down. Okay, we take control here. We want the police and the sheriff department, okay? We make the demand. Long good. Go ahead up. Sit down. Hurry up. Sit down. I said sit down.
So then one guy says, I need for someone to call 911. I need to speak to the president, and I need to speak to them now. The president is not going to call the Good Guys electronics store.
They got on the phone and said, basically, I don't think he used the word hostage, but basically we've taken control here, and we want the police, we want the sheriff's department here.
Hello? Okay, listen to me, okay? Before I kill all the people here. We want a chopper, a big chopper, take us to Thailand, okay? And the body armor, and we want the ginseng. Make sure ginseng 1,000 year old, okay?
He just starts spouting off all these crazy demands. They wanted 1,000-year-old ginger root to cook and make ginseng tea. They wanted bulletproof vest.
Long, qua đây bắn nó, cả nó nữa bắn nó đi. Hello? No. We make the man, okay? I'm the boss. We have the guns. Okay. Nói bắn đó. Đi xuống lên.
Everybody kind of murmured, puzzled at what was going on. I don't really know what's going to happen, but there's a lot of really ugly possibilities here.
Bring the vest. Strip down. No weapons, no clothes, okay? Naked. The vest. Bring the vest.
The negotiator said to ask them how much money do they want. Well, one of them said, we want $1 million. And the other gunman, who was a little more agitated, he said, no, tell them we want $4 million. So I'm thinking, they don't even know what they want. They have all of these people sitting here on the floor, taking them as hostages, and they aren't even sure of what they want out of them.
What I didn't understand was inside of the store, looking out to my left, there was a bank. 2 banks, walking distance that you could see. I didn't understand why, if you need $1 million, why would you pick the Good Guys electronics store and not the bank?
Okay, everybody, we come here to die. Huh? And we take everybody here with us. Okay?
these guys were looking for attention in some fashion. They were obviously young. We didn't think hardly any of them were much past 20 years old. And of course, the guns in their hands kind of helped make them seem a little more threatening, which I think was their whole point. They wanted to seem threatening.
Hello? Hello? Okay, I say, no, wear the vest. The vest. Vest.
It was scary because you don't know what they're going to do. You don't know what their thought process is.
Hey, everybody, come inside. Huh?
There was a row of televisions to the right of where the hostages were, so I could see the reflection of everything that was going on in front of the store. So I'm hearing these demands going on and kids crying, and they really didn't want to deal with these kids crying, and it was very annoying for them. And I heard them threaten somebody and say, you know, you better shut your kids up, or we're gonna kill you.
Hey, I said be quiet. Get up.
Coming up.
Bring the vest. Strip down naked.
The TV cameras loved it.
Deputy McGinnis, what's our status on the perimeter?
In 1991, I was the elected sheriff of Sacramento County, California. I was told that we had a robbery that had gone bad in South Sacramento at a Good Guys store. So I walked down to the communications center where Sergeant Jerry Gomez was actually on the phone with one of the hostage takers.
Okay, listen to me, okay? Before I kill all the people here. We want a chopper, a big chopper, take us to Thailand, okay? And the body armor. And we want the ginseng. Make sure ginseng 1,000 yo, okay? Yeah.
It really wasn't a robbery gone bad. What it was a group of men who had taken as many as 40 people. Turned out there were 41 that were inside the store that were all taken hostage. That's not only tense, it's just a very frightening situation.
Hey, Long, qua đây bắn nó, bà nói nữa bắn nó đi. Okay. No. We the boss here, okay? We have the gun.
3 of those gunmen were brothers. They were 17, 19, and 21. And then their friend, who was a 16-year-old. The 16-year-old that stood by the door most of the time had a bandolier on, and it had green shells in it. And he held a rifle. The rest of them pretty much had handguns.
Okay, we take control here. We want the police and the sheriff department, okay? And we make the demand.
Loy was the eldest. He was kind of in charge. And then the 2 younger brothers to Loy were Kwong and Long.
No.
Long was the problem. Long was the dangerous one. I think we knew that pretty quickly in.
No.
He would constantly say, I just want to see blood. It's time we shot somebody. I'm tired of waiting around. We're going to shoot somebody now. Some of the hostages, every time he would say that, would jump a little or get a little more panicky. And so he loved that.
We were setting up a command center that was across a parking lot from the store itself. The media got wind of this on the radio, and so we started having media people respond to the scene. We had just seen this happen in Berkeley, probably a year before, when they tried to keep the media a mile away, and they wouldn't stay there. They had to go where they could get some shots, and they wound up showing the SWAT team approaching and a variety of other things that really seriously compromised their operation. So we dispatched our media relations officer, who gathered all of the media in one place and put them where they could see the front of the store, but swore them to secrecy on anything else, and not to show our SWAT team, not to show people we had on the roof, not to show how many people we had surrounding the store, any of those things. Well, I had commanders and people who had been to school, they'd been to the FBI training, they had trained with hostage negotiations, we had the SWAT people. I let them do their job. I just told them, in effect, we're not doing anything without my okay. We're not going to storm the place. We're not going to do anything until I give the okay. As long as we can negotiate, we'll keep negotiating. The hostage takers were already making demands.
If he doesn't get the chopper and the jacket, he'll kill everybody here. Well, one of the things I think we found out is he can't wait. 3 of them are brothers. He's got a gun right to my heart. Hey, just tell him, take it easy. I'm trying. Don't get him. Okay. Take it easy. I'm trying. 3 bulletproof for 3 people.
Jerry turned to me and he says, well, they want 1,000-year-old ginseng plants. They want bulletproof vests. They wanted things that there was no way we could provide.
We want the bulletproof vest. Okay? Hey, don't play stupid. Bulletproof.
Hey, I said be quiet. No.
So as time goes on, negotiations are going on. The kids keep crying. They're, Mommy, Mommy, why does so-and-so have a gun? And the guy has a gun, and they're crying, and they couldn't calm down the children. So when they negotiated for some of those children to leave.
Hey, listen to me, okay? Okay. Bring the vest. Strip down. No weapons, no clothes, okay? Naked. The vest! Bring the vest!
The gunman had insisted that when somebody brought a bulletproof vest that they strip down to their underwear, you know, as they said, so that, you know, he could have no guns on him or, you know, pull no tricks. They wanted to do something humiliating, I think, to the authorities. And the sheriff's department complied. Guy walks up basically wearing just his underwear and a pair of sunglasses. And makes a big show. The TV cameras loved it. And walked up, plopped the vest down in front of the front door, and then walked off.
You.
They had one of the ladies that had 2 children with her to go out and get the vest. And he said, if you run, I'll kill your children.
She goes, picks up the vest, brings it back into the store. She wants to leave. And then he says, wait a minute, you're not leaving anywhere. We're not even sure if this is real.
Hey, man, that's not what we asked for, man, okay? We want a full body, okay? From the toe to the neck. Okay, let me test, man. Now let the people go.
It was an old vest. I mean, it looked like something you'd see from the 60s.
Then he says, somebody's going to need to put this bulletproof vest on because we need to check and see if it's real. And then all the hostages were like, oh, no. Just lay it down and shoot it. And if it's real, it's going to work.
I'm going to shoot it.
Hey, let the button.
You always get to shoot.
Move. Walk back.
The ringleader one said, I'm going to shoot into it. And the younger one says, well, you always get to shoot. And that kind of concerned me because I thought, well, how many times has this happened? You know, how many times have you been shooting at things?
They tested it with the gun, and I'm sitting there all of a sudden going, boom, feel the ground shake right by you. Rattled your ears.
He did shoot into it, and he seemed to be quite pleased with the fact that it was authentic.
Okay, it's good, man. It's good. I'm going to let the women and kid go, okay? You trust me?
Then he sends out the girl and the children, and they're allowed to leave.
Gunman number 1 ended up wearing this bulletproof vest. That made him more powerful, but they want 3 more for the other guys.
The demands of the hostage takers were crazy and got crazier and crazier as they went along. They asked for transportation to Thailand so they could fight the Viet Cong. And then they upped their demands from the bulletproof vest to, instead of just regular vest, but full body armor, like they felt they'd seen in RoboCop.
These guys wanted RoboCop outfits that cover your fingers and your neck and your feet and everything.
How do I know you do what you say, huh?
We're not going to jail.
They started getting like really frustrated with the negotiations, and they kept slamming the phone. They would slam the phone, and if they didn't get their way, when they wanted their demands met, they'd get agitated, very agitated.
Yeah. One gunman said, well, let's just shoot someone and throw them out and let them know we mean business.
I thought, I might be telling some really crazy story here at the end of the day. Either that or I'm going to get carried out in a body bag. If I live, I'm going to have a heck of a story to tell.
Coming up.
I was thrust in a situation making a life or death decision that you don't think you're ever going to be in.
Boy, you find another one. Now you're going to be the first to die.
You can't threaten me with heaven, so go ahead.
All of our people sitting around the table had earphones, could hear the entire conversation that was taking place in the negotiations. And they were making notes, they were offering suggestions, doing things like that. You could feel the animosity of the people on the other end of the line.
We have to start shooting right now. Why? Because you don't do what I say.
They were angry young men, and they were desperate. And it's really hard to negotiate with people who are that desperate because they don't want to hear anything except what they want.
What are you doing? Save our family. You need to be
When we realized that family members were starting to show up and sing, we got a room in the basement of the shopping center to gather the families together, alerted the department chaplain, and we put the chaplain with them down there, and we gave them regular briefings.
We're going to shoot all the people, that's right now. But I'm not going to hurt you. I don't want to figure everything out, okay? We figured out we have to die at least. You don't have to die, that's silly. No, I don't care. Okay, we want to die, okay? Why? Because we feel like it.
I was thrust in a situation making a life or death decision that you don't think you're ever going to be in, but you know that I knew when I went there that part of my reason for being there was to take responsibility if things went wrong.
Enough talk. We time up. One person on the phone. Who will talk? Who will talk? I'll do it. Move. Move! Separate into groups, now!
It's unfortunate that these young people didn't think any more of their lives or anyone else's because they weren't afraid to die.
They'd miss deadline after deadline after deadline. And at that point, they start kind of ratcheting up the bravado a little bit.
Then they just said, okay, you know what, we need for everybody to stand up. And so we all stood up and we got to look around and see each other. And then he started saying, you know what, I'm getting very frustrated. They're not taking us serious. So I feel that law enforcement wants to play games. If that's what they want to do, then that's what we're going to do.
Lori, your family is here. You want it or not? No, I don't want any shooting. Wait, okay? Wait, okay? I want you to come out. Just wait. Lori?
We're going to play this nursery rhyme. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. And he has his 9mm and he's pointing it at everybody's head or their heart. And he's going one at a time. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch a piggy by its toe. It brought a lot of tension to the room.
John and I were hiding, and you're getting kind of cramped up, being ducked down for that long. I could see certain gunmen in certain positions, and then John could look in the other direction and see certain gunmen. So John and I were kind of hand signaling each other back and forth. I would point in a certain direction, and he'd kind of inch over, and then he would point in a certain direction until finally one of the gunmen that was patrolling the store saw John's foot sticking out of the aisle.
Hey! Hey, I want over here.
gunman number 2 was the brother of Loy, who was gunman number 1, who was the leader. And Loy said, you bring him up to the front. Bring him up here now. By now, there's a semi-half circle of hostages that are at the front of the store. And they all put the guns to his head, and Loy's on the phone, and they said, we just found one, and he's going to be the first one to die if our demands are not met. Then Loy said, go back over there and look, maybe there's another one.
Roy, we find another one.
Of course, there I am. And Loy's like, what? Another one? Bring him here now.
They were enraged, but they were making a big show of it, pointing their guns around, and I think that's what they really wanted to do, throw their authority around, be paid attention to.
Hey, what's your name?
Al. It's Al.
All of them put the guns to my head. You're going to be the first one to die.
And we find a guy, Al, he hiding from us. And now he's going to be the first to die. And we won $3 million. We won a bulletproof vest, and we won the pizza in 10 minutes, or he died.
Get him a body bag.
Prepare to die, Al.
These guns where when the gun is on safety, it would actually click. So they would do that. They would put a gun to your head, pull the trigger, you'd hear click. They're playing games with me, saying prepare to die, get the body bags ready. And I'm just sitting there, casually. You don't want to show fear. Fear is the one thing that you don't want to show. But I knew where I was going to go when I died, which allowed me to keep a cool head. You can't threaten me with heaven. You can go ahead and kill me, but you're just going to put me in a better place. So go ahead. And I had that attitude. I had already pre-booked a trip for my mother, my father, and my sister to come out to visit me. And I thought about it when I was being held hostage. If I'm actually killed, they're actually going to be getting tickets to my funeral.
Well, as I sat there, I thought, here I am in this store. My family doesn't know where I am. I don't know if I'll ever see them again, and I never got to tell them goodbye.
Okay.
And that started to wear on me a little bit, and I thought, the emotions took over, and I thought, I can't let this happen, because if you become emotional and you become a focus for them, you might be the one they might want to shoot and send out and be the example. So I kind of pulled myself back together, and I thought maybe for a while if I kept my head down and didn't look at them and draw attention, that perhaps I wouldn't be noticed. But then I looked at myself and I said, are you kidding? I had a bright pink outfit on. And I thought to them I must be like a blinking light in the night.
Bring the tea, okay? You go to the Chinese store and you get the ginseng root.
I started to think the things are not going well. They're not getting their demands. And that...
How do I know you do what you say? Huh?
It's not going to turn out like I thought it would. You knew that somebody was going to be very seriously hurt or killed.
No one would dare attempt to attack them or to upset them, because we had to move and speak with severe caution, because they were very, very unpredictable.
You do nothing. Let me tell you something. Car? No. How are we gonna get to Thailand in a car? A 40-person helicopter. Bring it now.
I just started freaking out, and at that time I was 5 months pregnant. I think that was just all too much drama for me, and my body started going into cramps. I mean, something's wrong. I'm in too much pain. And my cousin was saying, "Stop it! You're starting to panic. Everything's going to be all right." They said, okay, we're going to start letting people use the restroom one at a time. I told her, look, I have to go. I'm leaving. I'm going to the bathroom. I'll be right back. She goes, no, you're not. No, you're not. She's holding on to me. She said, no, you're not. You're not leaving me here. I'm not dying alone, and you might not come back. Or what if they kill you back there? Don't go. I said, no, I got to use this restroom because you know what? I'm cramping and I'm sweating and I'm shaking and I think I'm dying.
Coming up.
I'm losing my patience, and I will start shooting right now.
And we discovered that there was really only 2 ways to get into the store, and one of those was through the front door.
I'm losing my patience.
Are we really ready to do this?
It happened in an instant.
I see these guys putting ski masks on.
In a busy store,
They don't know what's about to hit them.
masked gunmen take 41 hostages.
Everybody get down!
And then what happens
Snipers, wait for my signal.
is the stuff of heroes.
If I live, I'm going to have a heck of a story to tell.
Hold on, because the amazing and heart-pounding rescue is about to blow you away. In an Instant continues now on ABC.
For them to pick that store and then to do what they did, it is kind of unbelievable that the two just are coincidental. Bad guys hitting on good guys.
Okay, everybody, we come here to die.
On April 4th, 1991, 4 young men with a very, very ill-conceived plan set about the process of taking a store over violently, very well armed, and it actually took custody of a large number of shoppers.
Lock it. Lock the door.
Their demands were a little unusual. One of the things they initially asked for was 1,000-year-old ginseng plants, which in their culture, they provide energy. Frankly, I didn't know where to get a 1,000-year-old ginseng plant. Secondly, they wanted full body armor. Well, we didn't have full body armor, but we did wind up giving one vest initially to get the women and children out. They wanted a helicopter, and they wanted a letter from the president giving them free passage to go to Vietnam. They were asking for things that were impossible. It was the most tense situation I've ever been in my life, and don't want to be in another one like it.
And we find a guy, Al, he hiding from us. And now he's going to be the first to die. And we want $3 million. We want a bulletproof vest, and we want pizza in 10 minutes, or he died.
Get him a body bag.
The price changed. Now it's $1 million instead of $3 million. Now, and where's our RoboCop outfits? I thought they wanted vests. And where's our Chinese food? And it's supposed to be pizza. They don't even remember their own demands. They changed so much.
They wanted us frightened and intense. I think they were just frustrated with their lives. They wanted to feel like big men for a change. They wanted to have other people basically shut up and listen to them for a few minutes. They wanted to scare somebody. They wanted to feel powerful.
Hey, I like that watch. How much?
Under the circumstances, I think you can just have it.
That what you think, man? I don't want to steal from you. You steal from me. I have no life. I hate this country. The education system no good. I can't get no job. Can't join the army. We don't belong here. What are we supposed to do, huh? It's hopeless. That's why we die here.
They said, we can't get jobs. We're uneducated. We do not like your education system. And we can't go to your military. You've treated the people in our country poorly. You treat us poorly in your country. We're just going to start killing you guys because we already know we're going to die and we really don't care. And we don't like America.
Everybody out. Now!
I certainly had accepted at different points that death was a possibility, that I might not make it out.
I'm losing my bacon. I'm losing my bacon. Give it now. Don't yell, okay? Tell them to give it here now. And I will start shooting right now. Someone's gonna die.
I was a member of the SWAT team, the Special Enforcement Detail for the Sacramento County Sheriff's Department. When I got to the scene, it was very chaotic. Lots of patrol cars, lots of officers running around. The streets around the Good Guys electronics store were just really just full of traffic, and police officers and law enforcement and fire personnel. Every news media channel that I can think of was on scene.
This electronics store is completely surrounded by ground troops, by aviation support. We had helicopters in the sky flying in tight orbit over it.
Deputy McGinnis, what's our status on the perimeter?
I got all the side entrances and the back entrance covered. I'm going to want a couple of guys up on the roof with me.
I, of course, was a member of the Special Operations Detail to ensure that the suspects could not escape, either out the front door, back door, side door, or the roof.
The parking lot is already a carnival atmosphere, roped off, cop cars everywhere, with rifles pointed at them, but really, they're in front of you. So the rifles are really pointed technically at you.
The vest, naked. Okay? Do you hear me? Hey, you better hurry up, man.
I thought maybe they would realize that they're not going to get what they want. They might as well give up and we're all going to walk out safe and sound. But I realized this is not what it's leading up to.
They were very bent on maintaining control. They wanted to control things. No regard for the well-being and lives of those upon whom they had a profound effect that day.
Let me make it easy with you, okay? Okay, make it easy. I know, man. And if we should, all the people in there, we surrender, go out, or we die still be here. What's the difference? If you surrender now, nobody will hurt you.
It was very, very tense, and every decision was weighed. Every move we made was weighed towards trying to rescue the hostages and get people out of there in one piece.
We discovered that there was really only two ways to get into the store, and one of those was through the front doors. There was a second way in the back hallway that got into a storage room, and then eventually that would lead into the showroom where the hostages and the hostage takers were at. And this was the first actual hostage rescue in the history of the Sheriff's Department. So I thought about our training, and I thought, are we really ready to do this?
You do nothing. Let me tell you something. Car? No. How are we going to get to Thailand in a car? A 40-person helicopter. Bring it now.
I was almost 5 months pregnant at the time. I'm cramping and I'm sweating and I'm shaking and I'm in something's wrong. I'm in too much pain. My cousin was saying, "Stop it! You're starting to panic. Everything's going to be all right." So when it was time to go to the bathroom, he had his gun and he says, "Do you want to use the restroom?" I said, "Yes." I put my head down. He escorts me with his gun to my back and he takes me to the back of the store.
Coming up.
We're not going to jail.
He was anxious to start shooting people.
Suicidal, psychotic, and confused all in one.
You want to play games? Heads, you die. Tails, you die.
Had two snipers deployed in the front of the store, and then the other 7 of us were the ones that were going to be doing the entry and the hostage rescue. 7 of us against 4 armed gunmen with 41 hostages inside a large showroom store with lots of hiding places. So the odds for a successful mission where everybody survives that is pretty slim.
Go! I go into the restroom, and at this time I'm 5 months pregnant. I was holding all of my pain So I had to sit there, and I was trying my hardest because there's a 12 gauge to my head, and he's just watching me. And I was thinking, what can I really do? My pants are off, I'm on the toilet, and I'm trying to cover up all my blood because I didn't want him to see it. He's looking at me, and I'm looking at him, and I've got this gun on my head, and I'm thinking, I got to play this off. I got to figure something out. I'm gonna, if he starts asking these questions, I'm going to go with constipation. And if he asks me, like, what's going on, I'm going to go with the cycle. And he's going, are you okay? And I said, yes, I'm okay. I'm feeling a little bit better.
She had a miscarriage in the bathroom during the incident while a hostage taker was in the bathroom with her. For her to have to deal with that's huge.
And we find the guy, Al, he hiding from us. And now he's going to be the first to die. And we won $3 million.
The whole time I'm thinking, I got to get out of this place. I'm in the worst possible position that a person could be in. I'm in front of everybody. I'm the one that's targeted for death. I'm going to be the first one to go. There was probably about 8-9 people that went to the bathroom with an escort. Then Loy says, does anybody else need to go?
I got to go. You are not going to go. You are going to die. You're going to die. There you go. You are not going to go. Hey, stop. You stop or you die.
I knew that I had to force their hand. I started walking to the back of the room to go to the bathroom. He said, both of you guys go and keep an eye on this guy. Both of you. Everyone else got a single escort. I got a double escort. 2 guns to my head. I went to the bathroom, and then instead of going back up to the front, they took me to the break room.
I'll kill him.
So these guys start arguing over who's going to get to kill me. And they point the gun to my head and say, prepare to die. And then the other guy says, no, if anybody's going to kill him, it's going to get to be me.
Long, what's up?
There's a snack machine back there, and there's a soda machine. One guy gets so mad, boom, and the glass shatters.
Hurry up!
They grabbed the box that I used to unload my personal belongings on my first official day to stock it up with the sodas and the snacks, and they found another box there. So they loaded one with snacks, they loaded one with drinks. While I was back there and these guys were arguing about everything, I had taken off my tie and I had folded it up. I put it in my right pocket. I had unbuttoned the top button of my shirt to change my identity. And then when we went back to the front of the store, instead of sitting back down where I was as the focal point, just sat in with the hostages. Just change your identity, get out of being the focal point.
Hey, don't play stupid.
I really wish that John had done the same thing.
No! How'd the old lady go out? Who? The old lady!
Up to this point, it was quite disturbing because of them not knowing exactly what they wanted. They finally decided they were going to do something. The area that I sat down in was next to 2 mothers that had 3 children there. They decided that maybe they should let the girls out and free them. So the ringleader says, let the old woman take them out. I turned around and looked to see who he was talking about. And with that, one of the mothers stood up and said, can I take them out? And he says, no, the old woman, take them out. Well, by then I realized he meant me.
Get up.
I I stood up, and the one little 4-year-old didn't want to go with me because I guess she had been taught never to go with strangers. She didn't want to go, and her mother had to convince her that it was all right to go with me. So I grabbed her by the hand, and the littlest one and the other 6-year-old followed me out, and we went out the store. But until I got past the glass doors of that store, I still wasn't sure that they weren't going to shoot me, and I was going to be the one that was going to be the example. I was glad to be able to go out, but I felt sorry for the mothers that still had to stay in there, not knowing whether they would get out alive to raise those children.
No, I know the deal, but if we come out, you kill us.
No deal.
How do I know you do what you say, huh?
We're not going to jail.
There was a definite split between the gunmen. The oldest, Loy, seemed willing from the very beginning to kind of try to negotiate something, but the younger ones not so much. One particular by the name of Long just was insistent. Everything that he wanted met to the letter. Frankly, he was anxious to start shooting people. He made that clear from the very beginning.
That's not what we asked for!
He is screaming, he's yelling, he's pulling out his long knife, suicidal, psychotic, irritated, angry, and confused, all in one.
You, go!
He's just going nuts.
Long was pretty insistent. They're not taking us seriously. It was at that point they decided to tie us up. That's always one of those moments that you think, why am I letting this happen to me? So they tied us up in groups, mostly of 4.
All the hostages were tethered together with cables that they had hooked to all the television sets and different appliances they had in the store. The hostages were tethered in a line, all in one location, towards the front of the store, because they were anticipating if anything happened, it would be at the front of the store.
All the hostages were in a domino effect, meaning if you were to move your arm, then that pushed up a leg of the other hostage so that you can't run or move really.
Is this the police? How do I know that? Okay, there's somebody that keeps calling on this phone, and they're acting like they're the police.
Customers would call and pretend to be the sheriff's department. Sometimes they would talk for 15, 20 minutes, thinking they were talking to the police department, and it wasn't. It was just some customer. Until finally decided we've got to shoot somebody to, send somebody out for a message.
You do as I say. Oh, you want to play games? Fine, we'll play games. Heads, you die. Tails, you die.
We're going to play this game called Heads or Tails, and here's how it works. We're going to divide you into sets of 20. 20 to the right, 20 to the left. If it lands on heads, the 20 to the right are going to be killed. If it lands on tails, the 20 to the left are going to be killed. So he throws up the coin, and we're all screaming. We're all screaming and freaking out. We're like, no!
Where are our vests? No. I'm the boss. You do as I say. Oh, you want to play games? Fine, we'll play games. Heads, you die. Tails, you die.
The gunmen felt at this point that they were not being taken seriously, and more negotiations went back and forth. You're going to live, you're going to die. And then they decided half of everybody was going to die just to show that they were serious. So he said, I'm going to flip a quarter. Everybody in my right half, if it's heads, you're going to die. Everybody on my left side, if it's tails, you're going to die.
Who'll die first?
No.
So he throws up the coin, and we're all screaming. The coin gets ready to fall. It rolled, and he picked it up and said, that one don't count.
they really did a series of coin flips, and they made a really big show about it. They flipped the coin high in the air, let it fall to the floor. Of course, it would bounce once or twice on the floor, all to basically frighten the hostages. Once they flipped it once, okay, then this side of the room now is where we're going to choose our target from. Then they tried it again to, okay, from this side of the room, we'll divide it into two halves. And it mostly, I think, was meant more for show than anything else.
No, shoot him in the leg.
He pretty much just grabbed Sean McIntyre, I think because he was the closest guy.
He'd worked actually audio. He wasn't even supposed to be in the store. He walked in to get a part for a car stereo that he was installing and just happened to be there at just the right time.
Hey, we're going to shoot you and let you out, and then you're going to tell to the media that are the man, and we're going to watch it on TV, okay? And that way they take it serious. Hey, if we shoot you and let you out, that's a fair deal, man.
Told him, we're going to shoot you and we're going to let you out. You're going to relay to the media our demands, and we're going to watch it on TV, and then everybody will take us seriously.
Turn around. Shoot him in the head.
In the leg.
Shoot him in the head.
Long bắn nó ghê lắm. Đừng có giết nó.
He faced them for them to shoot him, but they're like, no, turn around. They really didn't even want to basically look him in the eyes. They shot him. So he turned around, and then there was a lot of debate because at least two of the younger gunmen were like, shoot him in the head, shoot him somewhere else.
So he says at the count of three, and we all have to watch. This is 1, 2, 3.
All of a sudden you hear pow. Sean just drops to the ground. I saw a puff of smoke at knee level where the bullet had gone through the wall and went through the boom boxes.
He was in bad pain, but he was so brave. He was on the ground, he's shaking, and he's holding his leg, and he's bleeding, and they're still talking to him. They said, okay, are you going to go do what we said? And you're going to go tell the police that we want our demands? Yes, I'm going to do what you said.
When they singled out Sean, and they were going to kill Sean, he was the unluckiest guy in the whole room. Well, he got shot, and he lived, and he got out. And he went from being the most unlucky person in the room to be the luckiest person in the room, because there wasn't a person in that room at that time that wouldn't gladly take a bullet in the knee just to get out of it.
At this point, we're thinking, okay, we're finally now to the point, something's going to happen. The sheriff's department will storm in, or they'll do something to get us out of here. But frankly, it didn't happen.
Where's our vests? We asked for RoboCop outfits, and they didn't give it to us. We didn't even get our 4 vests.
Where's our vest? Huh? Where's our helicopter, huh? We make demand, and you do nothing. A 40-person helicopter. Bring it now.
Look, it's Sean on the news.
There are 4 gunmen and good guys holding approximately 20 people hostage. They want 3 bulletproof jackets, a helicopter, and firearms. They already shot me. That's all I have to say. Any other demands that we can pass along? That's all I have to say.
That's it? That's not what we asked for!
They didn't get anything where they're like, where's our bulletproof vest? Where's our RoboCop outfits? Where's the helicopter? By now they expected an Army-style helicopter in the parking lot.
They were ruthless. They just seemed like they had no conscience. It's a weird thing because after after I lost the baby, I didn't have time to grieve or think about it because my mind was so fearful that all I could think of was the next moment. And I just moved forward in survival because I knew I had already lost the baby. So I was just hoping to take my own self and my family out. That was my goal.
Once we got into the back room, it became very obvious pretty quickly that we were going to have to make an entry in here and get into a situation where more than likely there was going to be gunfire. They were planning on our sniper taking a sniper shot, and that sniper shot would be the cue for us to enter the rear of the store and make the rescue. We were told a couple different times to prepare for entry. We would get up, we'd get stacked at the doorway, and then they told us to stand down because they were still negotiating.
There's an old man. He just fell down.
All of a sudden I hear boom, and then there's this guy to the right. He's in a diabetic seizure, and he's shaking, and he's all tied up, and he's just like all shaking.
Long walks up, takes one look at him, and actually is really calm. Says, well, we've got our next volunteer.
There's an old man. He just fell down.
There was an elderly diabetic, and he passed out because he didn't have his insulin. And he just went face first onto the floor, and he brought the whole group with him that he was tied to.
They didn't care. They said, oh. They got him. They moved him up forward, got on the phone, and said, you see this guy? He's having some kind of attack. Either you bring me this bulletproof vest, or I'm going to start shooting these people one at a time.
Get someone run out right now, or I'll shoot. I'll let you see. I'll let you hear the sound. No, I don't want you to shoot him. No! I really mean it. Yeah. I had enough of this. I can't wait. I'm doing it, yes. Why? They're trying to bring it now. It is? True? They told me they are bringing it. I would care. Now. I will shoot him if I don't see it. I'm serious. They are bringing it right now. No, it's about to be 3. Someone's gonna die. I've never been proof that I will shoot him and he will die. Okay? 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 Okay?
Now you talk for your life or we kill you. I don't even think he even knew the phone was to his ear. And his eye, and all of a sudden his eyes like go back in his head, and he just goes over backwards. And that infuriated them.
Hello? No.
So they negotiated a little bit more, and the negotiation didn't really work out. So he says, okay, we're going to count to 3. I'm going to shoot this guy that's having some sort of attack. 1, 2, 3.
I just break his leg right there. Now! Or else! Next bullet's gonna be on his head.
When he takes the shot, his leg goes up, and his knee, touched his shoulder, and then it slammed back down to the ground. And it was an old man. I just felt so sorry for him.
The authorities, of course, wanted him out for medical treatment. And they're like, no, man, now I'll die.
I did really begin to think, okay, I may not get out of this alive.
Snipers, stand by. Wait for my signal. I'm going down there.
We decided we can't just wait and watch them shoot people. We have got to implement the plan. And the plan was that we actually had 2 snipers out there with 2 different angles. They had asked for a bulletproof vest. We said, okay, we will give them the vest. And when he opens the door to take the vest, he will be exposed, we'll take the shot.
We're now preparing to make entry. They tell us to get ready. I personally thought about a lot of things in my life that could change if this didn't go right. I had an 8-year-old son at the time, and one of those things was I may not ever see him again.
We could see SWAT snipers poised underneath cars. We were big news at that point. And of course, all the TVs inside the store, by this point, had our picture pretty much nonstop. at this point, we had been, held there against our will for 6, 7, and then ultimately 8 hours. People only take so much before they start to kind of snap.
This incident started at about 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So we were 8 hours into this incident. We're now preparing to make entry.
Wait, they dropped another vest.
It seemed like the gunmen were just about shooting another person when somebody inside the store yelled, look, they brought another vest. So they looked outside, they debated what to do. One of the gunmen said that he'd go out and pick it up, and one of the other gunmen said, "Are you crazy? We can't go out there. We'll tie up a hostage and send them out." So they picked a hostage up.
Listen, if you don't come back, start killing people. Starting with your family. Got it?
You take the front of the door. Out! Open the door.
Tied her up with speaker wire, kind of a long tether, and said, "Go out, get the vest. We've got your cousin, both your cousins have guns trained on both of them. So if you try to run, they get it. They get it first." And, at this point, she's tied up with speaker wire. She's not going anywhere. You can tell she's scared to death.
They got one of the gunmen to put a 12 gauge to my head, and they got one of the other gunmen to put a 9mm to my uncle's back. And they said, "Bring us that vest, come back, or they're dead." And my cousin is shaking, but she was so brave. She said, "I'll do what you want me to do."
You two at the front.
They have Kurt open up the door. He opens up the door, pushes it open just a little bit, just enough for her to slip outside. And you can see she just takes the most cautious, tentative step you can imagine. About that time that the door started to swing back, and that was when all hell breaks loose.
Open the door. Faster!
So Kurt unlocks the door from the bottom and opens the
Ông cầm
door.
dây chặt nha. Đừng có thả ra.
Take the shot.
Ông cầm dây chặt đó.
Take the shot.
The sniper takes the shot, but the door swings shut on its own inertia, and the bullet hits the plate glass door and grazes gunman number 2's head. And we get sprayed with all this thick plate glass in thousands of pieces, just like it goes boom, and you're sprayed.
There's glass all over the floor. We hear chaos and confusion. We hear people screaming.
The sniper fired at the front of the store. We threw flashbangs and other things to make them think we were storming the store from the front.
Come to me! Come to me!
She was actually tethered to an electrical cord, and as she ran out from the area of the front door, ultimately reached the end of the cord. As it recoiled, it caused her to fall. We carried her to a patrol car and got her out of the area.
I look up for just a second and I see Long. He basically cocks his gun and I duck back down again. And you hear bang, and then bang, and then bang. I knew that at this point he was not getting taken out. And so that really was all that fit in my brain at that point was, as he's shooting the woman next to me, I'm about to get shot too. It wasn't fear. It wasn't anything like that. It wasn't my life flashing in front of my eyes. It was just this single thought of, here it is.
I could see the hostage taker just going down the line of people he had tethered together, shooting, going bang, 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 right down the line. And my heart came right up in my throat. I thought, oh my God, we're going to have, I don't know how many dead people we're going to have. It was a terribly frightening moment.
I think the frustrating thing is he got better as he went. You know, the first person he shot, he hit in, I think, the foot. Then he hit somebody in the knee. By the time he got next to the woman next to me, hit her in the arm, kind of shoulder area. Me, I got shot in the hip. And from then on, basically, you know, people died.
We could all hear a whole bunch of shooting going on at the front of the store. And at that time, my thought was, we failed. They've killed everybody. So now, what do we do? And I just told myself, you know what? If that's the case, now it's them and us. And we still need to forge forward and do what we came to do.
I see the masked gunman, and he's just coming in, and he's just shooting pop, 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 and they're just falling and screaming, and you could hear it. You could hear the people being shot, and they're screaming, and they're falling to the ground. And it was just, oh, and my uncle was, it was just terrible. And he was jerking. I remember my uncle was jerking when they shot him. He jerked.
That's when the SWAT team came out from the shadows.
As I worked my way down the left aisle, I now see hostages laying lifeless, laying still. And my impression was that they had all been shot and killed by the hostage takers.
Where is he?
All of a sudden, a shotgun blast rung out, and I felt the concussion of the blast, and I saw a muzzle flash. I could not see where the suspect was at. And there were 3 hostages tied up at the end of this display cabinet. And I tried to speak with them to try to find out where this shotgun suspect was, and they couldn't even talk to me. They were all so hysterical. I came around the end of the cabinet, and I could see the hostage taker with the shotgun kneeling at the end of the cabinet. And he couldn't see me. I stepped out from the cabinet and then fired on him. Fired 3 shots into him, at which time he fell. And as I started to approach him, he was still alive, and he still had the gun in his hand. And then one of the other officers fired also, and he was neutralized at that time.
The SWAT team deployed and shot the suspects, killing 3 of them.
There's glass everywhere. You could barely see because there was so much gunpowder. The gunpowder was so thick, it was hard to see. There, you could taste the gunpowder in your mouth. And there was just shells and glass and bloody clothes and it was just something you would see in a movie.
I'm a hostage. No, he's one of the bad guys. I'm a hostage. He's one of the bad guys. Come on, you liar! You liar!
As I came to the front of the store, the other team had what appeared to be a suspect detained who was wearing a bulletproof vest, which had been delivered earlier as part of the negotiations. He was trying to say that he was one of the hostages, but there were hostages that were alive and talking to us and telling us that he was one of the bad guys. So we got him handcuffed, but as I'm standing with him, within 6 or 8 feet of me were 3 dead hostages.
And then I could see my uncle, and he's just like laying there, just like lifeless. Like I knew he was dead. I knew from the impact of the shot, from all the shooting, that there was just no way he could be alive. There was just no way.
They send in the team of medical personnel. Medical personnel have these tags, and they're walking around tagging people. And the tags apparently have things that you tear off the bottom of them. It's basically injured, immediate. The last tag, if they tear it off, is deceased.
I stepped over John and saw his name tag that he was deceased because it was black, a black tag.
It's difficult to actually look over and see when your coworker's dead. I remember I said out loud, I said goodbye. That's all you can do. one SWAT guy passes by with this gun with multiple clips in it. But then as I look up, there's two SWAT guys. You know, one of them's just weeping. You know, I mean, it's really a weird thing. But at that point, you know it's over.
They talked for almost 9 hours, but the California hostage drama finally ended with gunfire on live television. Sacramento police moving into the electronics store after the gunman began shooting on the inside. 3 of the gunmen were killed, but so were 3 of the hostages.
It's still a chilling scene out here, Anna. I mean, a sense of panic, a sense of shock. Standing in this parking lot in Sacramento where just over an hour ago, that terrible scene of shooting unfolded, ending 8.5 hours of terror for 30 hostages here. We still hear ambulances wailing in the background right now as they try to piece together exactly what happened.
We saved a lot of people. Unfortunately, we didn't save 3.
There were 41 hostages. 3 of those hostages died by gunfire. 11 other hostages were wounded. The Good Guys Electronics Store hostage rescue is the largest hostage rescue in the history of the United States. It is used by SWAT teams and viewed by SWAT teams just to hear what happened and how it was handled.
I was shot in the hip. It was, as they say in the movies, just a flesh wound. It basically went in and out. It's a shame. It's senseless. It was a waste. There was no real purpose behind it. It was just one of those incredibly dumb, ill-advised things that happened for no real entirely good reason that anybody can really discern, I think, to this day. The one surviving hostage taker, Lloyd Nguyen, was tried and convicted and is currently serving 41 consecutive life sentences in a California prison. He will not get out.
It just doesn't seem fair that young people who get an idea in their head of doing this could change so many lives and devastate lives. I'm sorry that they died. I'm glad that the one that survived is going to be in prison for the rest of his life so that he can't do anything like this again to anyone else.
It was traumatic then, and reliving traumatic experiences is never fun. You know, you go back through it again and you think, holy cow, it's not any different. 3 innocent people still died. Doesn't make any difference how many times you go back and tell the story, you still get that same result. So it weighs on me.
About 4 months after the Good Guys incident, I was promoted to sergeant and was sent to the jails as a supervisor. And when I got to the jail, I realized within a couple weeks that this hostage taker who survived was in custody at the jail. And when he came out of his cell, he walked up to me and I identified myself to him, and he just hung his head and said, "I don't want to talk." And I just said, "You don't have to talk, but you need to listen." And so I just proceeded to tell him how I felt and how I was angry about how he had put all those people in that position and put my team in that position. He never said another word. I wasn't seeing him for him. I was seeing him for me because I needed to get that stuff off my chest as part of my healing process.
So we go to the hospital. Physician comes in, checks me. He says, yes, she was pregnant. They run tests. She lost her baby. I didn't have time to grieve. Once I was a hostage, that was just the beginning of the nightmare. Then I had to go to my uncle's funeral. I had to go back to the doctor. I had to go face my family. I had to go face my friends. I had to relive the whole incident over and over and over. I have forgiven all 4 of those gunmen. Well, I forgive them for their sins and I forgive them for their acts. Though I am saddened that situation had to occur and the events had to unfold and be that tragic, and that I had to suffer such a horrific loss.
Without forgiveness, you could never get through an incident like this and maintain any type of sanity. because I was able to forgive and move on. I was able to move on with my life. If you don't forgive, and you will never be able to let something like this go. As hard as it may sound, you have to be able to forgive everybody.
Ryan Phillippe and Juliette Lewis in Secrets and Lies. New tomorrow.
On a farm, you're always around dangerous things.
Next time on In an Instant.